One of the most difficult things that we've ever personally encountered is living with a loved one who develops dementia or Alzheimer's. And what we've learned from that, we'd like to share with you now. Initially, with my mum, we noticed that she'd started to be forgetful, and we just put it down to old age. She then had a fall and needed a hip replacement, and we noticed after that fall quite a difference in her forgetting things.
It does seem like a rapid decline.
And we'd sort of just put it down to the fall. Yeah. However, my auntie, when she'd not seen my mum for a while, and when she saw my mum, she said to us immediately, "Have you considered that she's got dementia or Alzheimer's?" Because she'd been through the same thing with her mum.
Yeah, so that was really great that she did that, because potentially we
would
would
not even considered it.
Have prolonged it. So we went to see the GP. Took her to the GP, which she was a bit confused about. It's like, why are we going to the GP? But took along to the GP, who actually arranged for a memory test. And I think they were quite keen to get that done sooner rather than later, because apparently, the sooner you get it, there is a medication that can be taken.
Was it called Aricept?
It was called Aricept, yeah. That was one. I mean, there may be others, but the one that she was given was Aricept. But they told us about this medication that will help to slow down the process. So we arranged for the memory test. A lady came to the home, and I remember her asking questions such as, like, what's the date, what's the year, who's the Prime Minister of the UK at the time. She actually asked her, I don't know if you remember this, she actually asked her if she could remember 3 words. Do you remember what those 3 words were?
I remember Coke being one of them, but I don't remember the other two.
Yeah, do you know what I do? She asked her to remember 3 words, which were apple, bus and coat. And she said and then she changed the subject for a little bit, then came back to her and said, "Do you remember the 3 words that I told you?" And she actually only remembered 1 of the 3. However, I've always remembered it because I remembered it as ABC. I don't know if you ever put that to it. So I never forgot it. Anyway, right. So we did that, and the lady that came to the house was lovely. This was her speciality in dementia and Alzheimer's. She kind of explained it to us. She said, imagine a vase, and at the very bottom of the vase are all your mum's memories from years and years ago, and this vase is now starting to overflow, so that because it's full and it's starting to overflow, any new information that comes in on top, unfortunately, kind of pours away. And that's exactly what we found, and it's almost like the vase becomes smaller and smaller as time goes on. So but I always thought that was a really great analogy.
Yeah, because at first, before we knew that analogy, we knew what Alzheimer's was all about, we would think, well, actually she remembers things from ages ago, so she must be okay. But those memories are fixed, aren't they? It's just the new ones that disappear. It's really hard to deal with, because as time went on, my mum would get accusing, she'd get angry, frustrated, and it's really difficult because one thing that always springs to mind for me that we went to see my mum. We spent the full day with her. We had an incredible day. We took her out, and we had such a lovely day. And then we came back, and when we came back, just missed the phone, and it went to answer phone. And I listened to the answer phone, and it was my mum, and she was saying, "Is your mum here? When are you going to come and see me?" And we'd literally spent the full day with her. I've not seen you for ages. And I remember ringing and saying, "Mum, literally, I've left you half an hour ago. You've not seen me for ages." And it's hard not to get frustrated. It's hard not to get angry because she was so accusing. And we were basically caregivers, and then I would feel guilty because I wasn't spending enough time with her, and that's hard to deal with as well. But what we did, we looked up everything that we could to help the situation and to help my mum, and also to help ourselves deal with that.
We actually came up with a really great system as time went on, and found it really, really helpful. And like Nick said, I think the guilt is because you've got to stay calm, by the way. You can't lose your temper, and it's hard sometimes, but you've just got to bite your lip and just remember that it's not their fault. But we put some great processes.
We developed some great strategies.
We did. So
I wish we would have had it from day one. It would have made things
but
a lot easier.
Hopefully, if you're listening to this, our strategy, this is your journey now, might help you. And I think the first thing is to realise that the sooner you get help, the better, because you can delay it with some medications. But what we actually did is we created a visitors book, and we put the visitors book in her home in the entrance, so that when people arrived, and we would encourage them and leave a little note for people to leave a little message, so that as visitors came, including ourselves, just write a little note to her in the visitors book, so she knew who'd been, why you'd been, what you talked about. So that was the first thing we did. And we also gave her a diary, which we kept by her phone, and put a little note on it saying, make a little note of the things that you've done today. Sometimes she would, sometimes she wouldn't. And perhaps now, looking back, now that she's passed away, maybe because we've still got that diary, it was a lovely little memory for us. But she did keep the diary. And I think it helped her that she read through it. And
it also helps us, because when we did spend the day with her, and I'd come back and, she'd ring and say, you've not seen me for ages, I'd go, Mum, just go and get your diary, go and get the visitors book, and you would see that we've been. So it actually helped.
And I must add there that if she said, I don't remember, what's wrong with me, we would just really make light of it and go, oh, don't worry, it happens to the best of us. We're all getting older, we're all forgetting things. Yeah. And we just made light of it so that she didn't get upset or worried in any way.
But we then also told all our neighbours. She lived on a cul-de-sac, and we told everybody, saying, look, my mum is developing, she's got dementia, she's developing Alzheimer's, and so we just keep your eye on her, and obviously please don't tell her that we've had this conversation, because as far as she's concerned, she's okay, but just please be aware. And one thing that was we didn't actually think, it was actually sooner than expected that this was needed, but we actually visited a previous house which was probably about half a mile away, and she'd lived there for 40 years, and knowing that the vase starts shrinking and her memories start disappearing, we just thought, we wonder if one day she's going to go back to her old house by mistake. And so we went to see the new owners of that property, and we said, look, my mum's got Alzheimer's, and she may turn up at the doorstep thinking this is her house. If that's the case, these are our phone numbers, please give us a ring. Yeah. And that did happen, didn't it?
It did actually happen. It happened more than once, but they were lovely. And that maybe because we'd already been to visit them. We also implemented a rota system so that she had lots of visitors. It gave us peace of mind, because we still had our children, we still had to go to work. But people would, family, friends, we would ask them to pop in, and we literally had a rota system. It would all come through us. So we knew that there was people regularly visiting, plus obviously the neighbours keeping an eye on her.
From a legal point of view, you need to organise a power of attorney, because there comes a point, and the same with my mum, where she just could not deal with her legal affairs anymore, and it's something that you have to take into your own hands.
Yeah, and then you need to speak to social services, your local authority, because they will have help and support in place as well. There was groups, and just having them there, they would actually they provided caregivers as well, so that they could pop in, so that you don't feel on your own, because you really don't have to, because there is help out there. There's also actually charities, so do take a look at charities. Just Google charities in the area. I know that in the UK we've got Dementia UK.org, we've got Alzheimer's .uk.org as a starting point, but there are numerous charities out there and support groups, so definitely have a look, so so that you don't feel that you're on your own.
I think the one big thing that I would say is just don't ever argue, because totally. My dad had passed away, I don't know, 10 years before, and my mum would say, I'd ring up and say, what were you doing today? Oh, well, your dad went to work, and and I would never, initially I would say, but Mum, Dad's passed away, and then she'd go, I was like, oh yeah. But I would just acknowledge, I'd just say, yeah, how's he gone to work? Okay, he'll be home soon, and just never argue, because ultimately there's no point, because as far as she was concerned, some days my dad was still around.
Yeah, and I think if you argue, then, or you sort of get frustrated with them, then that's going to leave you with feeling guilt after. So it's really important that you deal with them in a calm manner, and just realise that it's not their fault, and just go with it, and just be supportive to them.
Really hope that this has helped. Really hope that our tips have helped, because I said that had we known this on day one, I'm sure everything would have been a lot smoother, because it's a difficult time, there's no doubt about it. And we hope that there's other tips on our channel. Hope you get a chance to look around our channel, and if you subscribe to the channel, we upload a new film every Monday, so hopefully we've got some other subject that will help you.